This video is brought to you by my wonderful patrons. If you want to join the Patreon team, there's a link down below, and if you don't want to, that's totally fine. I hope you still enjoy this video. Also, I'm sorry for my voice in this video. I'm losing my voice over time. It doesn't sound too bad right now, but during the video, you'll probably notice it.
The Overlook has 110 guest quarters, he said in a scholarly voice. 30 of them, all suites, are here on the 3rd floor. 10 in the West Wing, including the presidential suite. 10 in the center, 10 more in the East Wing. All of them command magnificent views. 40 rooms, Ullman said. 30 doubles and 10 singles, and on the 1st floor 20 of each. Plus 3 linen closets on each floor, and a storeroom which is at the extreme east end of the hotel on the 2nd floor, and the extreme west end on the 1st. Questions? Jack shook his head. Ullman whisked the 2nd and 1st floors away. Lobby level. Here in the center is the registration desk. Behind it are the offices. The lobby runs for 80 feet in either direction from the desk. Over here in the West Wing is the Overlook dining room and the Colorado Lounge. The banquet and ballroom facility is in the East Wing. Questions?
Within the beginning chapters and even the beginning minutes of the brilliant book The Shining by Stephen King, both us and Jack Torrance are introduced to the Overlook Hotel. From how many rooms it has, the colour of the walls, and the constant reminder that there's an issue with the boiler, from the shingles on the west wings and of course room 217, or in the movie's case, 237. Stephen King brilliantly paints you a picture of the Overlook Hotel, and no matter what version of The Shining you may have seen, you cannot deny its presence and its mark within the horror genre. The Overlook Hotel is as much as a character in The Shining as are the Torrance and even Dick Halloran. With every room and every stairwell there's a sense of tension, with its indefatigable terrors that can spring up at any moment during the story. I recently finished reading The Shining and it got me thinking about locations, and how they can affect a story within a film, book or even a video game, and how they play with our emotions and even memories relating to said product. The Evil Dead's cabin or the House 1428 on Nightmare on Elm Street or even the Nostromo from Alien, these settings are all iconic and hold as much meaning and weight to their respected films as much as the cast do themselves. We resonate with the mysteries of these locations once they open their doors to us. Their legends, their stories, all become a place of memory and emotion for us as the viewer. Camp Crystal Lake wouldn't be anything without Jason Voorhees, but Jason Voorhees also wouldn't be anything without Camp Crystal Lake. You don't always have to be in a cabin in the woods or a castle in the mountains. Sometimes you need to take it back a little bit more personal and get inside our own bubbles of comfort. And as they say, there really is no place like home. I love lore and worlds and universes that are crafted for games. I love exploring and getting lost in all the wonders that I can, from the sandbox rings of Halo to the forbidden lands of Shadow of the Colossus. I adore these worlds and I hold them close to my heart. But I've always been a fan of the games that really focus on the small set pieces and overall a character of a single location. Luigi's Mansion 1 will always be my favourite Nintendo game of all time. It has a personal place in my heart and it just impresses me to this day. The cartoon gothic aesthetic still somehow captures a sense of life, but loneliness and even tension in a Mario licensed video game, which is so rare to see this day and age despite the series now having 2 sequels, but they have never captured the feeling that the first Luigi's Mansion was able to bring to the table. Within the sequels, I never really enjoyed how radically different the mansions and the hotels became from each other. Of course, I understand how variety and making sure each level comes with their own new challenges and even personalities, but exploring a grand hotel to a medieval theme park seems extremely jarring to me as an experience. Within Luigi's Mansion 1, there was a clear Victorian Gothic cartoon theme which ran throughout every floor and room within the mansion. There was never a room that felt naturally out of place without supernatural interference. I personally couldn't tell you what any of the multiple mansions from Luigi's Mansion 2 looked like, and the floors within Luigi's Mansion 3 I feel like I'm going to forget within a few years, but as soon as I see those front doors and the front of the mansion from the first game, I get hit with nostalgia, excitement, fear and tension from when I was a kid, and I know exactly what secrets this mansion holds behind its doors, and I get excited to explore it all over again. I could honestly blast my way through every single mission within Resident Evil 4, 5 and of course 6. I love so many of the missions here, they're iconic, they're fun, and I hold a lot of them to high regard just for how impactful and how intense they can be. And my love of the franchise really does come back though from when it was just based in locations, and well, a single residence, which was evil. And a personal favourite location from me is of course the Spencer Mansion from Resident Evil 1. Now don't get me wrong, I love the entirety of Raccoon City, I love the police station, and I of course even love the European Gothic designs of Rockford Island from Code Veronica. But the Spencer Mansion design is one I will never forget. Being trapped within the mansion walls as it forces you to memorise a maze-like structure, it's a game that's gonna stay with me forever, and I will always come back to it at least every year round. And as much as Resident Evil 1's going to be remembered for its funny, campy dialogue and characters like Barry Burton and iconic lines that come out of his mouth, for me, what really matters is the rooms that I grew up knowing. With every carnation of Resident Evil 1 that I've played, every item, shortcut has remained in my brain and plays a huge character and huge part in the history of Resident Evil and the legacy that that mansion left behind. Some locations can even be as iconic as the characters who explore its darkest corners. Batman Arkham Asylum for me is extremely comforting to explore. I remember playing it on release, finding all its secrets, all the Riddler trophies. I can play out every area in my mind because I've come back to it so often. For me, it feels like home and it feels like somewhere familiar which I can explore for just a few hours. But sometimes we don't want to return home, and Dead Space Ishimura is one that lurks constantly within my mind. Along with it being one of my favourite horror franchises of all time, both us as the player and Isaac Clarke have been through a lot on that ship. And just as we thought we was done with the nightmare, we're thrown straight back into it within Dead Space 2. I remember the tension when you first make your way across the docking bay and you see that familiar sign of the Ishimura, that first familiar room, and the constant reminder that Isaac himself is just as scared as the player is in this vital moment. And Visceral Games knew exactly how important it was to capture that feeling correctly. We knew that Isaac was in trouble and we knew that we had to return to that nightmarish place where it all began.
The hell? I don't know, something's in the room with us.
Home should never betray you. In Gone Home, you enter the Greenbrier household to discover it's empty, but still music plays and TVs are left on standby. Our brains instinctively jump to horror, and we constantly feel like we're being watched and toyed with by this house we don't truly yet understand. With every flicker of a light or even a creaky floorboard, there is a story to be told. It tells me its age, it tells me that people have walked and even used these corridors recently or even frequently. There's an uneasy feeling though that comes with each and every story that's told within the rooms of this house. With an empty mug and blanket left within a living room, it tells me a story of confrontation or uneasiness within this family. And we can only hope that it's not holding any secrets from us that we don't know, because a house shouldn't betray you. And a house wouldn't betray you, right? Every home and every house and every room has a story. A fragment almost frozen in time, a stain that will leave a mark on the wooden floorboards, and memories good or bad are permanently captured in a place where we lay our heads at the end of the day. And very much like the canvas of a madman, what happens with each memory that is captured within a household is one you truly can't escape from. When you first enter the home in Layers of Fear, you have one instinct: look at everything. You map out, touch, research, read everything you possibly can. Every room has a character and story to be told, from the kitchen's used yet beautiful island and painting of fruit, dummies and forgotten paintings in the basement, or even the portraits that follow and mock you as your curious intent leads you up the stairwell. But as you proceed through this journey of insanity and guilt, the story of each room truly becomes clear and it's almost impossible to predict. And just as you've become comfortable with these rooms, they will change and return, and they will remind you that at the end of the day, this is your tomb. The legacy of PT is something that remains personal to a lot of people. Where was you in your life when you first walked seemingly alone through these halls? A game that has nothing more than a bathroom and an L-bend hallway has stapled itself into the legacy of horror gaming and even the legacy of Silent Hill. PT brings horror to a modern home, and if you even noticed, a lot of the games that I chose to speak about were inspired by Gothic and even Victorian architecture, but the house in PT truly is nothing special, but I feel like that's why it worked so well. Using 21st or 20th century architecture adds an element of something new and even relatable for the people who are playing. I kind of really love the fact that the game got cancelled itself. It feels like an urban legend that didn't happen and only a few people were able to truly experience it at the time. It's a game that people are not really going to be able to explore to its fullest because they're never actually going to know what any of these things meant or what anything was leading to. So every story that was meant to be explained or even expanded upon has its own sense of presence and entity that will forever haunt these halls. And it feels like something that we're never going to get ever again. And because of that, it's almost created this house to be a character and entity which many people fear. As soon as you see that L bend, you know exactly what you're in for, and then you begin to feel like there truly is no place like home, because there's no place like PT. Hi, I don't know how this video is going to turn out. It's just an idea I was thinking of characters and stories and how the locations themselves act as characters in stories and how gaming has depicted that. Of course, I know there's largely open world or even first person shooters, so I only pulled aside a few that I feel like are quite personal to me, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and if there is any places like this that you actually like playing in games or places that make you feel comfortable in gaming, please let me know down below because I would love to hear your thoughts. And of course, if you want to join the Patreon team, the link is there. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this, please leave a like and of course comment, and I will see you at the next checkpoints. Goodbye.